I am that guy, Douglas Hall, and this is my YouTube series, What If? And the topic is, what if the characters from Heroes Reborn are in a civil war? Now, before I get into the topic, I'll be talking about my personal notes with the series, along with the brief background and introduction of the original TV series and the sequel miniseries, Heroes Reborn. My personal feelings with the show is that I really love the show, as evidenced by my shirt right here. One of my best friends introduced me to the show in the first place, and from the first 2 episodes of watching it, I was already in love with it. I highly recommend the show, and even though the series is no longer on television or in some way, shape of mainstream media, but I'm hoping Tim Craig will eventually restart the show in some way, shape, or form. And if not, as long as there are fans who love it, it will always live on. Now, into the background. Heroes, the original TV series Heroes, it's basically about everyday people learning that they have superpower abilities, and once they discover them, then they learn how to develop them and how it affects their everyday lives. Now, one thing that they do is that keeping these individuals hidden from the general public is a secret that they keep on maintaining until the series finale. It's one of the few things that makes it different from the other shows. It's about everyday people. What if they have these abilities? It's not like, the Avengers or the Justice League, where, you have the main characters like Batman and Iron Man, where you know them, and then they are, then there's Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark. No, it's about what if everyday people like you or me that has these abilities. And they eventually learn that they can either use these abilities for good or for evil, and if they feel like they're destined to use them or not. So now, most of these such individuals, they are known as evolved humans or evils, as we found out in Heroes Reborn, but we didn't know that about them, or at least in the series, that the general public didn't know about them until the series finale. And that's what Heroes Reborn is dealing with, is that like the Sokovia Accords in the MCU, their evils have to register, and if not, then there are consequences. But that is just one of the key story elements of Heroes Reborn. But then we also found out from both series is that there are individuals who typically only have one ability, but they at least could further develop on them. Heroes Season 3 technically had a civil war in some way, shape, or form, but it wasn't a full team of the main characters fighting against each other like in Captain America's Civil War. So I'm not going to be taking that into consideration. What I am going to be taking into consideration, or the details or classifications for my teams, is this. The characters must still be alive in either the original series or the miniseries, so they can't be deceased or unknown status. And I'm not going to take any of the comic books or the video games into consideration, just the 2 main series. They don't have to have an ability, just as long as the characters, like I said, are still alive by either of the 2 series. And let's give some background into it. Let's say after Heroes Reborn finale, there was another major incident where it forces more and more evil registration, like the Sokovia Accords, and even for military purposes, where, like the Sokovia Accords, they can't, go out and do anything unless a government panel says, oh, you can't go out there or you can't go there. And it might lead to further evil restrictions. Let's get into the teams. To make it as simple as possible, I'm going to have it be based on Captain America's Civil War. So basically 2 teams, 6 characters each. Now let's get into the teams themselves. Let's start with Team Peter, based on Peter Petrelli, played by Milo Ventimiglia. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. If not, I apologize. Peter Petrelli, his ability is power mimicry, where he can essentially copy and or borrow an evil's ability. For example, if he copies someone with super healing, he gets super healing. Super speed, he gets super speed. Enough said. Now let's move on to the next member of Team Peter. Ando, played by James Kunsun Yi. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right too. His ability is power augment. He has the ability to boost any evil's ability, along with energy projection, similar to the Emperor from Star Wars. Now, what do you mean by power augment? In the original Heroes finale, he was able to boost Hiro Nakamura's ability to transport a group of people where normally he could only transport a couple people at most. Now let's move on to the third member, the Haitian, played by James Jin Lewis. His is power negation, but it was started out as memory manipulation. So if he wanted to erase a certain memory from a certain person, he can do that. So if, let's say, he wanted to erase the memory of your high school graduation, he can remove that and you don't remember your high school graduation. And then led on to the power negation, which is, I think it says it right there, he has the ability to negate any evil's ability. However, it can either be passive in a general area, or it can be selective. And if selective, then it's just one or more certain evils, while certain evils where he doesn't want to have negated, he can let that happen. Next is Edgar, played by Ray Park, or as you better would know him as Darth Maul from Star Wars Episode 1. His ability is enhanced speed. Enough said right there, super speed. Next, we have Tracy Stresses, played by Ali Linder. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing them right. If not, again, I apologize. Her ability is water mimicry. She has the ability to manipulate water and ice at the molecular level, and even transform herself into water and restore her body. So essentially, a super waterbender. That's what she is, basically. Next, we have Monica, played by Diana Davis. Her ability is muscle memory. And what that is let's say she's watching a cooking show and then it shows how to make a flour out of tomatoes, and then the next day she can do the exact same thing like it was depicted in the original series. So there's that. And if she wanted to excel at boxing where she normally isn't, she has to watch a few boxing videos and bam, she's a boxer. Now, what makes Team Peter unique is that they will support the registration of evils and they have the experience, both abilities and age. Next, we have Team Tommy, based on Tommy Clark or Nathan Bennett, played by Robbie Kay in Heroes Reborn. Tommy, his ability is also power mimicry, but his is unique. He actually steals an evil's power, but makes it even better. In Heroes Reborn, he stole Hiro Nakamura's ability of space-time manipulation. However, not only he can do what Hiro Nakamura can do, but also make it even better, where he can be like in two places at once, or two places in different time zones. And I'm not talking about Chicago or Tokyo, I'm talking about in the past and in the future. Next, let's move on to Melinda, played by Diana Koyosh. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Again, I apologize. She is what I will describe it as environment control. She can manipulate the earth, the sky, even space to a degree. So in a way, she's like a super avatar from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Next, we have Ren. Ren is not an evil, and he's played by Toyo Anti Akodo. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, but if not, I apologize. Like I said, he's not an evil, but he's a swords expert, as depicted in Heroes Reborn finale. So we have our first non-evil, but he can still be of some use. Next, we have Carlos, played by Ryan Guntzman. Again, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. But he, like Red, is also not an evil. But he's a tech expert, as he was able to build a high-powered armored suit in Heroes Reborn. So, like I said, he can still play some role or advantage for Team Tommy. Next, we have Farah, played by Nazine Contractor. Again, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Her ability is invisibility. Enough said right there. Next, we have Micah, played by Noah Gray Galby. Again, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. His is techno-telepathy, which means he can manipulate any electronics. For example, in the original series, he was able to manipulate the election to allow Nathan Petrelli to be congressman for New York by a landslide victory. All he had to do is just touch the voting machine, and then bam, Nathan Petrelli won, if he won, since he picked it that way. So enough said with techno-telepathy. Now, what makes Team Tommy different is that they are anti-registration and they have optimism, both power and the youth. I have personally met with both Robbie K and Madeline Ventanita, and I can say that they are really, really great guys, and they help maintain my love for the show. And I hope it does the same for you guys as well, or those who haven't watched both series. I highly recommend that you do. Now, I personally can't pick of who will win in the teams. I personally think it's going to be a stalemate, but that's not the point. I'm going to let you guys pick, the viewers. Who do you think will win? Team Tommy or Team Peter? That's up to you. And I look forward to what you have to say in the comments below. Please check out the video description below. Please like and subscribe and share this video out with your friends, or at least let them know. And please follow me on Twitter, where I will also put down a survey of who do you think will win. And I look forward to your comments. And this is that guy, Douglas Hall, signing off. And from the first 2 episodes, I was already in love with it. Next, we have Tracy Stridus, played by Ali Linder. Her ability is power. I am that guy, Douglas Hall, and this is my YouTube series, What If? Now, Heroes in the TV series Heroes Reborn. Oh, shit. Let's start. Oh, and one more thing. I just also like to say is that save the cheerleader, save the world.